Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Yep, we sure are. Every night from 5 o'clock, and it's game day, of course. Celtic defending champions, but third in the league. They're at Falkirk tonight under Martin O'Neill. Game 2, third time round. And table toppers Hearts against the League Cup winners St Mirren. 0808 17 17 700. Are you going to the game? Give us a call. Peter Grant is off to Falkirk. The helicopter will be taking him. No, he's going on the bike straight from here in his electric car. And Jamie Murphy, who scored at the weekend for Ayr United, the former Rangers and Scotland star, is with us as well in our brand new studio. We're on YouTube as well as live on DAB on Go Radio. We're here. It's Whopper Wednesday, of course, with our friends at Burger King. No, I think tonight is going to be a whopper. Right, transfer news. Rangers are back in the market today. It was mentioned the other day. It has happened. They've signed for around £3 million Tuur Rommens, a 22-year-old from Westerlo. So, signing number 2 on the day when we hear that the man we've been speaking about for a few days, Andreas Skov-Olsen, is on his way for the medical ahead of coming on loan. Jamie, what about the signing of the fullback today?
Yeah, I think it's a position of need, particularly over the last couple of years. You know, it's the kind of profile of player they've been going for at the minute. They all seem to be, these European, Scandinavian type players, strong, quick athletes, if you want to call them that. But, hopefully it brings ability as well.
And of course, we've been talking for days about Olsen. Peter, Rangers have got off the mark. And they had to. They had to rebuild the squad, although he's getting more than a tune out of the team. But what do you make of Rangers signing so far? Chukwuani the other day.
I think they've done very well, actually, because Chukwuani, I watched before he played against Celtic for Sturm Graz, and I thought he looked excellent in the particular games prior to playing against Celtic. And the thing I liked about him was his mobility. Even though he's a big lad, he read the game well. He's only 23 years of age, and it was one that really impressed me. Then when I seen Rangers were interested, I was like, I was a bit disappointed, to be perfectly honest, because I thought he was a really good player.
And did you think that at the time he could be good for Celtic?
Yeah, I did. I looked at him because I thought he's one of these ones you would definitely, if you were looking at scouting and you were having a football team, if you went and seen him play, he's got that profile for that position of the pitch, and he'd done it very well. I know he gets sent off at Celtic Park, but there's no doubt he's a talented boy. Skov-Olsen, you're talking about, I watched him a lot at Bruges.
Did you? Yeah.
And he was very, very direct and very quick, and he got a big move after that.
12 million.
Yeah, and I sort of went off the radar a little bit, and I don't know if that was down to the boy. Some guys are comfortable in certain arenas, and I'm not so sure that, but if he plays like the talent he has got, he'll be a really good signing. Yeah,
went to Wolfsburg, didn't happen. It's something else coming to Glasgow, as you know, Jamie, having played at Rangers. How do you think he's going to do if he signs on the dotted? He's on his way into town for the medical?
Well, the fact it looks like it's going to be a loan with an option to buy in the summer means the pressure's on him. He's got to come in and perform so that Rangers want to keep him, so that Rangers fans want him to stay. So again, it's up to him. It maybe not went the right way for him over the last couple of years. Obviously, big move, hasn't performed maybe at his new club. So this is his chance, big club. Hope Rangers fans will be hoping he does really well.
Rangers fans, what are you thinking? 0808 17 17 700. So the manager is doing well. Rangers second top of the table, but Celtic could join them tonight, go ahead in goal difference if they win at Falkirk. And it's a big if against John McGlynn's Falkirk, who everyone has praised so much. And arguably, if you take away Derek McInnes, he would be, and it's a long way to go, but in the running for Manager of the Year. This is the game where it started for Martin O'Neill a couple of months ago, wasn't it, Peter?
Yes,
this fixture.
Was. And Celtic's probably best performance of the season so far.
I think,
yeah, they played really well that evening, and Martin sort of slightly changed it. He put Nygren behind Johnny Kenny that night, if you remember. Gave him a little bit of power up front with him, and it worked really well. But to be fair to Falkirk, early in the game they had a couple of chances and they played really well. John's done fantastically well. It's a difficult arena to go and play in.
Plastic pitch of course.
Yeah. But I think sometimes you get in the player's head with that, Paul. Right. There is a difference, but it's a good plastic pitch in the respect to that. There is a difference. I see a lot of hell of a bad grass pitches. So you never look for excuses, and I'm sure Martin won't be looking for excuses. He'll be looking to go there and get the players' mindset to go and win the game. That's what you've got to do if you're going to want to be champions. You've got to go to places like Falkirk and win.
Jamie, you were in a couple of weeks ago, but it was the Wilfred Nonce time. It's hard to keep track of what's happening. What do you make of it, Martin O'Neill? I mean, as a Rangers fan, a former Rangers player, you have wanted it to stay under the Frenchman, no harm to him. But are Celtic back in? Are they favourites for you to win the title again?
I'm not sure if they're favourites, but I think it's going to be difficult for Hearts to win the league now. You've got both Rangers and Celtic feeling upbeat. Obviously Celtic has had a disappointing 6 weeks before with the previous manager, but you could tell just from bringing O'Neill in, everyone's got that spring in their step again. You could see at the weekend out 4-0 win, and you would think that Celtic will keep that going tonight. I know it's going to be difficult. Falkirk are a good side, they play good football, and they've done brilliant so far this season, but you get the feeling that Celtic are maybe starting something again.
It is remarkable, isn't it? They came up from the third tier to the second tier, where you are just now in the Championship, and they're now top 6 in the top league. It's a remarkable story.
They were terrific last year. They were by far the best team in our league last year. The way they played football, it's a nice style to play in, but they defend well as well. And McGlynn's teams have always played a bit like that, and he's done really well at Wraith Rovers before, and you can see how good a coach he is by doing it now in the SPL.
Celtic fans, what are you thinking ahead of the game tonight? And Peter will get your team. It's easier to tell now that it's Martin O'Neill who's back. He went back to the way it was before at the weekend. Were you impressed with the game with Dundee United? Because the manager said he loved the result and he also liked the performance.
No, I think the performance was positive. There's no doubt of that. You're playing players in the positions that they feel comfortable in. Paul, we've said that all along. And I don't like having a go at the manager that was there previous. Everybody has a way of playing and a way of thinking. He'd done things that he shouldn't have done, and I'm sure if he reflects on it, if he's been honest, as I said last week, if he reflects on it, he'll say, I should have done things slightly different. If he wasn't, as you say, then I think he's telling lies to himself, really in that respect. But Martin's come in, the boys that went there and performed, the guys that come on the pitch come on and performed. They still got a major problem. Had 2 big chances in the game, missed them at important times, and that can cost you throughout the season because there's a nervousness comes in when you're creating so many chances. Even on for Wilfred Nancy, created chances, didn't take them. So all of a sudden, there's a nervousness comes in. We still need to get that number 9.
Is it time for Maeda to go? To be fair, 33 goals last season, Player of the Year. And with strikers, it's like goalkeepers. People always remember the key moments, the great save, the brilliant goal. But Kairat Almaty, if he had scored, then it would have been different this season. We'll never know.
Well, I've said he's not a natural number 9. There is absolutely no getting away from that. And people say 34 goals last season. Yeah, we know that. But as I say, I could swear now I don't think that will ever happen in his career again.
Okay.
If you're saying he get 34, he could have had 54 or 64 with the amount of chances he had. And that's no disrespect. He was outstanding last year. His work ethic, which you expect for any professional footballer, was outstanding. But he's not a number 9 for me. Celtic need a number 9, a proper number 9. Johnny Kenny, I'm not sure he'll still get his chances in the game. But he becomes a number 9 for Celtic that you have to score with your chances. I've always said a good Celtic number 9 will get 4 and 6. So if you get 6 chances, you'll score with 4 of them. And Celtic don't have that at this moment in time.
Some of the headlines, Celtic chasing a 5 in a row, but it's Hearts in the box seat at the moment. Martin O'Neill, you see some of the headlines today that we're third rate. He didn't say that, but that's one of the headlines. Hearts being first, Rangers second, there in third position. Stephen's on YouTube saying the Celtic board are a disgrace. 14th of January, still no striker, making a fool out of the fans. And making a fool out of Martin O'Neill potentially. If this continues with no striker coming in, for me there will be no way back for the board. Let's hear Martin O'Neill spoke yesterday ahead of the game tonight. I had this message for the Celtic fans.
I kind of do. I do, yes. I understand that. I hate sending out those messages to fans, who never listen anyway. Right. No, we are really trying, honestly, to try and get... and obviously, selfishly, but as I said to you, I'm not. I don't have any impediments from board level. I think we all want to try and do something, which is great. So, I'm not blaming anybody. We will try and get people in. But it genuinely is at this stage, even though it's halfway through January, it is looking around to see what could fit for us as much as anything else, and we'll see. Again, it's not perfect. We might end up having to do some things that that you take somebody on loan that you think that you wouldn't be looking to sign for 3 or 4 years, for instance, something like that.
Peter, Celtic are exploring a move for the Union Berlin striker Andrzej Ilic, but he's 9 million. Would that be out of Celtic's reach at the moment? I know they've paid more before. Burnley are in there, and maybe some other clubs as well. And Fofana, who's been around for a long time, David Datro Fofana, down at Chelsea, who's not been playing many games.
Fofana I'm not so sure about, Paul, because some of these guys like the comfort of being at Chelsea. I've seen it when I was down there all that time. And I noticed a lot of these boys didn't want to go any further than London.
Even though they're not playing?
Yeah. Chelsea used to have a squad of 6 to 8 people.
Remember they had 2 dressing rooms.
But they had an international group of 14 players who were trained on their own with another coach. 14 internationals. So some of them get into that comfort zone off that. And you don't want that coming into Celtic, you know, and I think that's important. Would they spend 9 million on a striker if it's the right one? Yes, I'm sure they would. I've absolutely no doubt they would. Because the bottom line is you want to win the league. That's for sure. Because you've got to remember, Celtic win the league, they've still got to do a qualifier. Rangers win the league, Rangers don't need to do a qualifier.
Probably not.
That's the way it's looking. So you want to give Rangers that go ahead? Absolutely not. So if you've got a chance to get players to come in, and Martin's been around the block many times. He knows what he needs to make Celtic successful, and that has got to be a goal scorer. That's got to be priority. But this is a very, very difficult window unless you're willing to pay big bucks.
Joseph is watching in Tenerife. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the show. He said he's enjoying it. You sure you're on the right channel here? But he wants to know, Jamie, Peter, who is going to win the league? Joe is a Celtic fan. Peter, you said last week, he was listening on the show, you said last Monday, well, let's wait and see what happens in January, whether or not Celtic will win it. What do you feel today?
No, I'm the same, because I think the window's going to be important. I think Rangers have got their nose in front now with the 3 signings they've made. They've already done that. They're going for each position of the pitch. They're going for wide, central midfield, defender, all the areas they thought. They may still go for a striker or another. I still think Rangers' biggest problem is going to be central defence. I think they lose too many goals and give up too many chances. So
Rangers,
I'd say they're ahead at this moment in time with that. Hearts have done exceptionally well, but I think Jamie touched on it there. Hearts have got to deal with what comes round about the stadium. That's the problem. And the games are not
fans,
going they've been over the course before and not been successful. That could get to the players.
That's a long time ago, mind you.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, but none of these boys have been. I'm trying to look round about their squad and say who's won things, who's been over that course before. You can't give them that. You've got to earn that. And sometimes that nervousness comes, and that's when you're hoping that, like, say, Celtic. I'm hoping that Celtic will only come at the fore. One with the manager they have there, but also some of the players that have been there many times.
Jamie?
I think it's safe to sit on the fence and say not Hearts. That's who I have in my head at the minute. I think Rangers and Celtic are the closest they've been in a while. I think both teams have had their problems. I think Nancy coming into Celtic has really set them back. And not just in terms of points and wins, but in terms of the transfer window. I'm sure the previous manager would have had his targets. Obviously, he's seen the Columbus Crew player at the game who's obviously going to sign. He's not there anymore. So you've got to make a whole new shortlist of players that maybe Martin O'Neill and the club want that might not be in line with what Nancy wants. So I don't begrudge Celtic taking a bit of time in the window to get the right players. But since that's happened, Rangers have obviously maybe took a step ahead in the players that they've brought in.
So if you were a betting man, which I don't think you are, would you go with Rangers?
Yes.
Followed by Hearts? Are you saying? I'm trying to press you here. No.
I think either
two.
Rangers or Celtic will win the league. Rangers slightly ahead at the minute.
And, you know, Peter made the point about Hearts. It's a long time. Apart from 2021, the COVID season, that Rangers haven't won the title, one in 15 years. So do you think Rangers are geared up? I mean, your manager seems to be really, for somebody at 36 years or so old, is really level-headed, because it's new territory for most of the Rangers players as well.
It is, and I think everyone's really behind the manager. That's the thing. I think since he's came in, you see the record, they're at the top of the form table since he's came in. He speaks well in interviews, players seem to like him, and I think that's a big part of it. I think the problem with Nancy when he came in is people were listening to interviews and maybe not agreeing with what he was saying and things like that, but with Danny Rowe, the way he talks, the way he interacts with people, I think it's top notch. Here's
a bit more from Martin O'Neill then, because Celtic fans are in big numbers. Daniel's on saying, I completely agree with what you said, Peter, and the call earlier on from Stephen, that what are they doing? Why is there such a lack of action? Now, he knows Martin O'Neill's only in the building for 8 days, but it's now the middle of January. The clock will be on here on YouTube soon, Peter, saying how many days to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what you've got to do, Paul. And and people criticise and say people keep making excuses. It's a difficult window. It's a very difficult window, because especially for a number 9, nobody wants to sell them if they're doing well. The only thing I looked at last night, and maybe I'm going off thing a wee bit, was Ferguson at Roma.
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't on the bench last night.
Right.
Wasn't playing. And I'm thinking, was he injured or suspended? I don't know. But he was getting mentioned with Celtic before. So I was thinking, maybe something there, because he was somebody that come in and do a job for Celtic. There's absolutely no doubt that.
Scored a couple of goals
against him as well. But I looked at that last night, and he wasn't on the bench. Bear in mind, Shea Adams scored 2 also.
I saw that last night, yeah.
So that's why I was following it closely.
Wow.
But I was looking to see where Ferguson's name was.
That's a good shout, Peter.
So I don't know. I don't know.
You and Ferguson? Yeah.
I tell you, I think he's a right good player. Yeah.
He's got a great profile for a striker, doesn't he?
What do you like about him, Jamie? Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Eye for goal. He done really well when he first broke into the Brighton team, and then found it difficult a bit after that. But comments from the Roma manager seems as if he's not having him at all. Even after he scored against Celtic and things, you could tell he's not really having him.
Wow, that's a signing that would ignite the Celtic fans, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I looked at last night, Paul. As I say, he wasn't on the bench, so I don't know if he was suspended or injured, but it's maybe one that could maybe be hanging out there.
Here's Martin O'Neill speaking yesterday about the transfer window.
I'd love to blame other people, no, but it's down to me. Nothing has changed really, even when I've been out of the game. You know, the January transfer window is pretty difficult, because unless you've identified a player that you absolutely know is going to improve your team and that you're prepared to spend the money on him, I think that's I think it becomes more difficult. And I'm stepping in here. I think I might have said to you a couple of weeks ago that the new manager would have wanted to have the January transfer window so that he could identify players for his particular system. Now, we are genuinely working really hard in the background, so there's no impediment in that sense. It's just trying to get some people in that we think could help us now, at least until the end of the season.
Celtic fans, who do you want to see come in? I suspect, striking-wise, it would be almost anybody.
Well, the biggest problem is, Paul, managers are different. Martin's completely different from Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah.
Wilfred Nancy was completely different from Brendan Rodgers. And that is the problem, not just at Celtic Football Club, any football club. And I see it so many times now that they go and get different types of managers. And if you keep doing that and asking your players to do different things, or you've bought the wrong players, it will not suit. That's why I think it's important when the board or that are looking at managers, they go and see their style of play. How do they coach? Because that's what suits our club. That's the way we play. And I think that's where there was a mistake made with the Wilfred Nancy thing, knowing that he played this back three and was adamant that's what he was going to play. And don't get me wrong, I have no argument with anybody playing a system. Martin played a three for a long time with Celtic.
So what's the problem?
The problem was
mid-season.
100%.
No training time.
But also the fact is they should never have changed it before.
Yeah.
We said after the Rangers game would be the minimum after Martin. Even at that, I'd have put the brakes on and said, hold it, let's wait here. This is Celtic Football Club. We know you're desperate to get in. It gave him the chance to see the window and whatever. All these things we spoke about. Now you're seeing Martin, mid-January, a different type of manager for Wilfred Nancy. It gives you less time. I'm sure there are people in the background looking at different types of players, of course there is, but it's who's available is the most important thing.
It's going to be the Cup this weekend, and Jamie Murphy, you'll be playing for Ayr United up at Tannadice. So we're looking forward. You scored at the weekend?
Yeah. Lucky enough, my penalty went the right way and the goalie went the other, so it went in the net.
I saw the highlights. You know, they show you old games in Sky last night. No. It was a cup game, Cardiff. It was the final against Liverpool. Stephen Gerrard missed a penalty. Kenny Miller missed a penalty, and others. And then it was Liverpool who won. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but we're live on YouTube. A lot of comments coming in from Celtic fans wanting to see some action, because over at Rangers, the news came out just before the Aberdeen, the 2-0 win on Sunday, that Chukwuani had signed, £4.5 million. The manager spoke about him afterwards.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think we worked hard the last couple of days to make this deal done. Big thank you to the board, to Andrew. I think at the moment the communication is great. Touchy will bring a good physical side, big experience also in Europe. And this is also very important to understand. We have also a group today on the pitch. They work really hard. They deserved also big credit. And this is exactly what we need. We need the challenge in some positions, but we have also to understand our development in the last 10, 12 weeks. It's outstanding from some players. And again, I think, look to Telo. He scored again the goal. And it's the next one who goes in the right direction. And this is for me really pleased to see.
Malcolm's on, Jamie, asking, do you think that the arrival of Chukwuani could see, if there's a big enough bid, the departure of Nico Raskin?
I think there's definitely a thought behind it. I think you want a player there who can step right in if it does happen, if he does leave. But, with Barron being injured, you would think he would maybe come in for him at the minute. That was a big blow for Rangers, him to be out for the next 12 weeks, something like that. So, you've got a ready-made replacement there to come in. Your Rangers fans will be hoping that Raskin doesn't leave, but if the Rangers board wouldn't be doing their job if they weren't prepared for that to happen.
Peter, Raskin, what do you feel?
Yeah, I thought that right away, Paul, to be perfectly honest with you, because the interesting was, Barry and ourselves spoke about it last week. When the manager went back and said he thinks Raskin's a 6 and done really well at a 6, I was very surprised at that. Because no way in a million years. He's got to have that freedom to go because he's not got the discipline to play that role. Chukwuani has.
Right.
And if he allows Raskin to have that freedom and he wants to play there, but also, if you remember what Rangers said at the start of the season, they've got to get into that mode that Celtic were in, knowing the right time to sell players because they've made a little money before. I don't think you'll get a bigger price than what you will get for Raskin now. Being an international playing at this moment in time. So they may have to sell to invest more and bring a better squad together than just have that one player. And I think maybe Nico Raskin's thinking if that opportunity arises for him to go, which he would perceive a bigger club, I think he would take it.
Bigger league, maybe, wherever he'll go.
Yeah.
Around 10 million. When I pressed Barry on Monday night, Jamie, what do you think?
I think you're looking for around that with the money going around these days and the different valuations of players. I think that's definitely what Rangers will be looking for. Whether he goes this window or whether he goes in the summer, I'm not too sure. I think Rangers might try and keep on to him for the rest of the season and then go in the World Cup summer. Because
it's a £40 million bonanza and more, isn't it, if they get the Champions League? And Rangers, if they win the league, it depends on a couple of results, Peter, but you're absolutely right. At the moment, Rangers would not have to qualify. Is that right, for the Champions League?
And that's the biggest thing, Paul. So whatever you're giving out at this moment in time, maybe the saving. If you spend 20 to 30 million, but you make 40 million right away, you've won out it, you know what I mean? So I think this window is going to be massive for Rangers. And to be fair to Danny Rowell, I told you at the time, I was a bit concerned he got the job out of them all the names that was getting mentioned. And when he dropped out, I said, well, I'm happy at that because, as I say, I've watched a few things on him. He's been dealing with big players before. He's had a good manner round about him since he came in. He's built the confidence in the players. I'm using the wrong word here, telling them lies, because he was convincing they were playing better than they were. The most important thing, he was getting results.
He was talking them up, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And they were getting results. When you talk about Wilfred Nancy, they weren't getting results. So it didn't matter what Wilfred Nancy would say. As long as you weren't winning, you can't get away with it. Danny Rowell's done that very well, and he's won big games at important times.
Is it true you advised the Rangers board who they could go for? Kashinya was a name that you were thinking of. No, of course it wasn't. Doors to Manuel. Michael's on next after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, Paul Cooney here with Peter Grant and Jamie Murphy. Wednesday night, and it's game day. Celtic in action, the defending champions. Are they going to win it? There's never been jeopardy like it for Celtic for a long, long time. Not since 2021 during COVID. Tonight they play Falkirk, surely the most improved team on the Isles, British Isles. What do you think, Falkirk fans? Give us a call, 0808 17 17 700. And Hearts against St Mirren, we'll talk about that. Are St Mirren the bogey team for the Jambos? Rangers and Celtic fans will be hoping yes. But let's go on the lines, let's go to Liverpool. Big Celtic fan is on. Good evening to Michael. Hi, Michael. Michael? So...
He's away to the game.
He's gone. Do you think so? He's on the way up. We'll come back to him. What about that about St Mirren? They've got a good record against Hearts. Jamie, what do you feel?
They're a difficult team to play against.
Right.
In experience, Stephen Robinson always says his team's organised. They're almost better without the ball, I think, than they are with the ball.
Yeah.
They're organised, good at set pieces. They know how to defend. They're a good team. They work together. And for whatever reason, they just do well against Hearts. Hearts struggle against them. So you wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset tonight, but St Mirren have to do better than what they have done recently.
What date was the cup final with Celtic?
Don't know the date.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I want to
what I was going
forget
to
it.
say was, because St Mirren haven't won since that game. Isn't it remarkable? It does happen sometimes in football. Great cup success and then league.
But they're a bad run, innit, Paul, if you remember.
Right,
There wasn't
yeah,
that great a run. Stevie Robinson said that, but his performances he was more happy with at that particular time. He said the performance was a lot better than the results were. Then they won the cup final, and I think he's been more critical for the performances now about it. And that's always a difficulty, but it's not the fact that the players have switched off. There's absolutely no doubt of that. Sometimes you go through that run, but they're a very difficult team to play against. I tend to disagree with Jamie a little bit. I think they're a better football side than people give them credit for.
Okay.
But they just play in a certain way, and it takes away that little bit from them because they've got good footballers and they all know their job. The biggest thing is when you're not taking your chances and you've not got the substitutes now because of a couple of injuries, like anybody, it becomes a problem. And that's why going to Tynecastle Night, Hearts will be looking forward to that game, but you'll always ask questions of Hearts the way St Mirren play.
Take him on, Jamie. Do you disagree?
No.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 weeks, I think they've played Motherwell and Falkirk, two of the better footballing sides in the league, and they've found it difficult. I think maybe up against Hearts, maybe more a similar style to them. They can go for it a little bit more. They don't need to worry about getting passed off the park against Motherwell or Falkirk.
Yeah.
I know that it must have hurt them, the Falkirk game, especially at home. They must have thought, we're going into this one, we're going to win it. So that was a big blow for them. So it's going to be a difficult game, but again, you could see them winning that one.
Somebody who was disappointed big time at the cup final is Michael on the line now. Hi, Michael.
Hi, good evening, guys.
Good evening,
Back
Michael.
again. The reason I think Hearts will win the night, guys, is because a young Gazoot, Bacchus, there's about 4 or 5 St Mirren players out. So that's, at me personally, I think that's weakening their team. And I think St Mirren haven't been the same since they won the cup final against Celtic, you know.
Yeah. Okay, what about your own club tonight? What are you feeling? The Falkirk game?
So basically, I just want to say I agreed with Kevin last night. That guy was spot on for what he's saying. Because I think if they tarnish Martin O'Neill's status or whatever, that'll be the last straw for me, Paul, you know. Because I just think that is so disrespectful to Martin. I think that Fergus McCann and Martin O'Neill should have a statue at Parkhead, you know. Right? But I'm going to go on to Celtic, right? So basically, I think that Celtic should be going for the Ivory Coast guy called Diabate, right? Who's playing in Sweden for Gaze. He's the most prolific scorer out of all the guys that have been named. Kieran Bow would be a good striker for Celtic, right? So basically, I wouldn't be going with people like Bamba, who's only scored 1 goal.
I think
in
that's
15
not happening now. So, Michael, that's not on anymore. But okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So basically, Paul, mate, Callum Wilson was a great player in his day, but he might come up here. But the thing is, what worries me is, Iniacho was brilliant in his day, right? So, but I don't really want passengers coming to Celtic. No projects. I just want guys like Martin O'Neill has basically said who will come into the squad and try and get us to win the title. But right now, I don't think that's going to happen, my friend.
Jamie, can you believe that Celtic fans are having to come on phone-ins and talk about the lack of a striker? Kyogo left a year ago.
Yeah, it's obviously disappointing from their point of view, and I completely agree with Michael saying that Celtic shouldn't have projects, or shouldn't have too many projects. Sorry, I'll add. You would argue they've got their project striker in Johnny Kenny, young player.
Yeah, sure.
Signed him, brung in. He's not going to be a starter every week, but they want him to get better. They want him to improve, maybe come on and score. But yeah, like you said, they are, for fans to be coming up with names for number 9s and Celtic not to be producing is disappointing for Celtic's point of view.
See the Kyogo one, Paul?
Yeah.
I'm a bit different on that. He wanted away.
Oh, yeah.
He went away. Celtic got good money for him. He said an opportunity to come back. He didn't come back.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's put that to bed.
Yeah, but it was a year ago.
Yeah, but the point is, I was more annoyed in the summertime when you never had a striker and you knew at the end of the day and you let Adamida go.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Well, that's my biggest... Because Kyogo wanted to go. Adamida didn't want to go.
I agree with you.
And,
sure.
And as I say, I know he got a lot of criticism, but if you look at his record of goals with the games and minutes played, it was incredible. Yeah. And Celtic could have done with him, and I'm sure Celtic would have been in a better position now. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind if Adamida was still there. I know he's injured just at this moment in time. I know Maeda scored goals, but any actual even coming in, either should have still been there.
Yeah.
So that should never have been allowed to happen in the first place. So I'm talking about if you're a fully fit Ineacho, you're a fully fit Adamida playing at Celtic, I'd have still be looking for another number 9.
Of course.
Because that's what you need if you want to win games and tournaments and win all the competitions you're in. Because there's got to be that fight. We spoke about it before, and that's where Celtic have been excellent. They've always had the best 2 teams. They've had the ones that's not been playing and the ones that's been starting.
In the last few seasons.
And that's not the case
until
this year.
This season. Exactly.
And that's definitely not the case this year.
And listen, there isn't a criticism of Kyogo. It was probably time to go. The truth is, for Kyogo, Maeda, Hatate, they were amazing for Celtic. I mean, Hatate's being mentioned again. It's probably time for him to go somewhere else. You can't afford to let him go just now.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, you sense that. Martin, that's where Martin will come to the fore.
Right.
He's an experienced manager. Yeah. He sees it round about a dressing room. He gets the feel of players. He'll not say too much, but he'll know what's going on in the training ground. What's his attitude like? He's had all these experienced players. Martin likes to bring in ready-made players. If you look at the great team he had, apart from Henrik Larsson, who Wim had brought in, God rest him, the old Suttons and Hartsons, bring them in. Yep. They're ready. Neil Lennon. Oh, men. And you're saying to yourself, that's a team of men. And I have no doubt that's what Martin will be looking for just now.
Do you think he is going to... no criticism of Martin O'Neill. Do you think it's going to come good? Do you think he's going to produce some magic? Because it ain't coming from the board. The magic, the money will come from them, but they've let the Celtic fans down badly. You can't argue otherwise.
I think Martin won't bring anyone in he doesn't think will improve the group. He'll not just bring in to make numbers up and say, well, I brought a number 9 in, but he's only played 1 game in the last 10 months. That will not happen. Martin wants somebody that's going to come in the door and make an effect come Saturday, never mind anywhere else. If he could get him in for the day, they'd have done it for today. And I've absolutely no doubt that's the way he'll be looking at it. It's don't bring me, as you say, somebody that's going to take 4 or 5 games to get up running. I want somebody that's able to... That's why this window's difficult. Because 9 times out of 10, these guys have not been playing, Paul.
I can hear Michael in Liverpool.
Paul, do you know what's really frustrating, buddy, right, is when I look at Sky Sports and I see Rangers have signed another guy and I'm like... What is going on?
Yep.
And that's the frustrating thing for me, my friend, is because it's like the board are pulling. They sit in that main stand like dummies. Well, yeah. Right? And I'm thinking they've got no communication with the fans, my pal. And I'm just thinking, why? What is going on?
Yep.
I mean, legends like Peter Grant and, do you know what I mean? Celtic legends, they've all said... Everybody, you can see it as clear as day, pal. Brendan Rodgers was writing this up. They didn't like him speaking up. That's why I think he walked. Like a lot. But what manager would come to Celtic with that board there?
Well, that is a good point. I mean, the people on the board, each one of them have done a lot for Celtic. But there comes a point where you have to move on. You give way for newer people coming in. But you heard the major shareholder, the biggest shareholder, who had that statement against Brendan Rodgers when Brendan Rodgers had left 20 minutes before. And it just didn't seem like Celtic. He's not the owner of the football club, but he is the guiding mind, you would imagine. And he needs to communicate with the fans because he cares about Celtic. But you don't see it at the moment. I don't care what they say, you don't see it. The Celtic fans, to a man and woman, cannot believe how Rangers are winning. Well, they're ahead of them in the league and they're winning the PR battle as well. Look, Celtic might join them tonight on the same points, but this is remarkable. This will go down as a case study of how to get it wrong at a football club after dominating for so many years. And maybe that's a cycle. It's a bit like politics. Eventually governments run out of steam. It's time to change. And maybe in football it's a changing of the guard. What they didn't see coming was Hearts as well. With the Tony Bloom 10 million in there, things are changing a little bit. We're a Glasgow radio station, and it could be the title going to Gorgie rather than going to the Copeland Road or to Kerrydale Street. Jamie, that's a possibility.
It is a possibility, and I think it's something that the two big Scottish teams, if you like, I've maybe not seen coming. I think, like you said, there, Tony Bloom coming in with his investment, with his knowledge of the transfer market, all that kind of thing. It does make it more difficult for Rangers and Celtic to win the league. I think that's just a fact. I think 10, 15, 20 years ago it was not solely based on, but more a case of the best players win the league, whereas now there's different tactics. The rest of the league is better than it maybe was back then, and it makes it more difficult. And I think these are just things that you've got to deal with.
But everybody talks about Hearts.
Yeah.
How many points are the front of Rangers?
3. Yeah, sure.
So everybody's telling me how great Hearts are and how poor Rangers have been all season.
Yeah.
And the same with Celtic, how poor they've been. They're only 3 and 6 points at this moment in time. And it could go back to 3 points again. And
you're trying to test my arithmetic.
No, but you know what I'm saying. So let's be honest.
I know what you're saying.
That is the difference.
But it's complacency. No, is there not complacency at your old club?
I don't think... No, listen, and I agree with you in the respect of that, but Paul, that's every year. See, when you're champions, you've got to go out and sign 3 or 4 starters for the next season.
Sure.
That never changes. That's what you've got to do. The best teams have always done that. That didn't happen this year. And we lost good players as well, which we knew were going to go, and rightfully went. The likes of Coons and all that. I thought it was time for them to go.
And it was great money, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But isn't that part of a top team? You bring them in at a lower price, doesn't always work, and then you sell them on. But you get the feeder system hasn't worked in the past year, has it?
No, because exactly, of course, and that's what you can argue about. There is absolutely no doubt of that. And I think that's where the frustrations for the supporters come. If someone come out and explained the reason why it didn't happen, then that's it. Then we can say, well, we put these offers in for Paul Cooney, couldn't get them, all these sort of scenarios. People will accept that. They'll not like to hear it, but they'll accept it. They wanted 10 million, but we offered 7 million. But they kept getting bigger and bigger. And I've seen that before, because I've been in there, remember, and I remember going to phone clubs, and all of a sudden it was double the price you were asking.
Because of Celtic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I'm sure it's the exact same for Rangers, sort of thing. Rangers are getting players worth 12 million.
Yeah, sure.
They're not playing now.
Yeah.
Talking about Olsen. So at this moment in time, that's why he's getting to Rangers, because he's not playing, not because he's playing. And that is the difference. The good sign for me is Chukwuani, because I think he's a very good midfield player. I think he's a steal at 4.4 million, because I thought at that age he's a proper profile and Rangers could make money on him.
There's a lot on Martin O'Neill, isn't there, Peter? In that for the board.
He can handle that, but he can handle it. He'll be able to handle the board. He'll be able to handle politics. Any football club, he'll be able to handle that. And he's brilliant with the media, how he explains it. Sure. Simple things you're talking about, we're third rate. Because it's there. You're sitting third at this moment in time. But all of a sudden, Martin becomes a champion, where you've came from. Yeah. But that's experience. He knows how to talk the game. He understands it. And he's trying to sell the club to everybody. We're the chasers now. I would rather be in Hearts' position. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind of that. I've always said that. I'd rather be first getting chased all the time. That's the place you want to be.
Michael, what's your scoreline tonight then? Let's talk about the game itself, because we're just a couple of hours away. We'll give you the team news in the next hour. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Paul.
Oh, come on, Michael.
I think Celtic will win, because it's Martin O'Neill there. If it's Nancy, then I'd have no faith at all.
OK, we got that. You don't like the board, you don't like Wilfred, and I get it.
No.
What do you think tonight?
He ruined us.
Yeah. OK, but tonight then, come on, we all love our football. I'm just trying to think for Celtic.
OK, then I'll say 3-1 to Celtic.
It's whatever you think. It's whatever you think. What about
and I think if Celtic get beat next Sunday against Hearts, the title's over.
That'll be some
Bye-bye.
game. OK, well, we'll speak to you after that.
Because we need to sing, guys. End of.
OK, thanks for your call, Michael.
Cheers, Michael.
That's going to be, seems a while away. January 25th, just what? That's
around the corner now,
11
pal.
days away.
2 weeks.
The countdown's on. Jamie, some season. Are you enjoying the new studio here? If you're listening on the radio, you've not got a clue what I'm talking about. What about it, eh?
Yeah, nice and fancy. Lovely.
Yeah, Peter, you're in the Sports Scene studio, which is an excellent studio, paid for by the licence bearer. What do you make of it here?
Oh, it's lovely, Paul. You've done fantastic. haven't you?
I've been up all night.
It's the girls that's all done it.
They have everyone. They're working so hard. Everyone on the team.
Absolutely.
Right, good. Rangers fans, you've been quite quiet. I think they've enjoyed a purple period for a couple of months where a squad that's not very good. Is that fair? I think that is what the Rangers fans were saying, but they've been grinding out results. And maybe that squad, not so good, is now a pretty good squad with reinforcements coming up. Come on, Rangers fans, give us a call. You know the number, 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, here tonight, Jamie Murphy is joining us. He'll be playing for Ayr United this weekend against Dundee United in the Cup. And Peter Grant, who was a Cup winner with Celtic. Jamie, if it's not your own team to win the Cup, and hey, you never know what could happen, who do you fancy? And I'm going to take out Rangers and Celtic. Is there anyone, I'm narrowing it here, who do you fancy for the Cup final, let's say, for Cup final day?
I'd love Motherwell to win it.
Your old team, yeah.
I know it's my old team and stuff, but more so the fact that I like watching them play. I think when they're on the telly at the minute or Sports News on, I want to watch. I want to see how they build for the back. I want to see exciting attacking football, which is what they do. So I'd love them to win it. I think the manager's done a great job since he's went in there. I'm sure there'll be a few chasing him in the summer.
Of course, Manager of the Month and Player of the Month as well. So Jans Herbertel will ask you, and also Elliot Watt, I think, Player of the Month. I mean, it's a great team to go and watch just now, Peter. And I know
No, they've
you
been
do.
terrific.
Yeah.
I've seen them obviously
Yeah.
twice live against Celtic,
Yeah.
and they played it excellently well. I thought that was when I thought the roof came down on Wilfred Nancy. They were so far outplayed in that particular
Tuesday
game.
night game,
Wow,
yeah.
they gave Celtic a chase in
That's
that
only
evening.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but they gave Celtic an absolute chasing.
Sure.
But the thing I liked about them, they mixed it. James talked about playing out for the back, but if they needed to go into the front man, they'd done that. If they went wide, they went wide. They get crosses in, they get shots at goal. But they outplayed, and Celtic didn't react in any shape or form. And that was my big worry tactically, because there was a few things, and I'm saying it as an ex-coach, watching, you think you should adjust this and should adjust that. And I know we're all the best coaches and that were sitting in a stand.
Yeah.
But for me, you just couldn't go through that 90-odd minutes getting terrorised the way they did in that particular match. And Mull thoroughly deserved, and I agree with Jamie. The way the manager's got them playing has been excellent, but it always comes with everything else, Paul. I said it last week. They had a hell of a lot of draws. They didn't have a lot of wins.
Yeah.
All these sort of things.
The Hearts game where they were 3 up.
Russell Martin, I think, had won more games at the particular time and drew the same amount at that particular time when he got sacked.
Yeah.
But I keep going back to it. That's the difference being involved with Celtic or Rangers. You can only be first, and there's a completely different pressure comes with that.
They're going to finish top 6. How high, Jamie, do you think they will land? Obviously, they drew at the weekend. That was a good result, wasn't it, over there at Easter Road?
Yep.
So they're just ahead of them.
I think, like you said, Easter Road there, I think Hibs and Motherwell will be fighting it out for that fourth spot. I think it's a position they both want to be in, and it's a position that they're both capable of being in. They're both good teams in their own way. David Gray at Hibs, maybe a bit more defensive in the back five and that kind of thing. Motherwell seem to be all out attack. They want the ball, they want to keep the ball. So it's again, I don't think the Scottish League's been more interesting in the last couple of years. There's teams playing for everything, even down at the bottom. Kilmarnock, Dundee fighting it out, maybe one or two others. So it's an exciting end to the season.
I heard Simon Jordan on this morning. So I had Alan Shaw in one ear on Go Radio, and I had Simon on with Jim. Pipsqueak, Jimmy was calling him. It's actually when he was the Crystal Palace owner. But he said, no, I don't want to say too much about the Scotland race for the title until the Celtic Hearts game on the 25th of January. He said that's when you'll find out after that. Mind you, that doesn't include Rangers at that point, but it's some league, Peter. For you, as a Celtic legend, it's not what you thought would happen, but is this good for the game?
They beat Rangers twice as well.
Yep, sure.
So they've beat Rangers twice, they've beat Celtic twice.
Yep.
I don't think that's happened in their history.
No.
I couldn't.
I think
even
it's
at the
pretty
time,
safe.
even at the time I played,
Sure.
it definitely never happened.
No.
The one season that they would go through beating you all the time. So it's a massive game coming, but for Celtic it's about tonight. That's the most important thing, Paul, because it's no use. Then it's the cup tie. Then you have to go on, and that's the way you have to write it down. And that's when I'm getting back to Hearts. We'd to play 8 games in '86. We'd to win them all,
and you did, didn't you?
And we managed to win it on the last. And Hearts were outstanding. I think it was 22 games, if I'm right. I keep saying to you, and then it was 2 minutes for time. They get lost both goals. Even a draw for them that particular day. And that's what I'm saying. There's that nervousness because I'm sure they've heard all the stories about it, whether it's new supporters, everything like that, all these things. And that's what they're trying to take that way off the back of their neck. But to beat Celtic twice and to beat Rangers twice and not to go in the win the league, then there's different questions would be asked. And I said that before because Derek was so far in front with Hearts.
Sure.
All of a sudden, maybe questions comes for the Tony Bloom because if you remember, he came in and said, I had no say in the manager. So then all of a sudden...
That was poor, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And it swings round against, well, you were that far in front. We've invested money and you couldn't keep that lead. That's how football changes.
It's a great point. I mean, we're all sitting here saying, Hearts brilliant, excellent. They could go on a run now and I'm not going to say they're not going to win a game or whatever, but you just don't know. It's going to be an interesting watch, particularly that game in a couple of weeks' time.
I think everyone said, wait till Christmas. Charlie Mulgrew, he said, Hearts, and he's getting pelters from the Hearts fans. And there's no harm in that whatsoever, having a go at Big Charlie, who'll be here tomorrow night with Mark Guidi. But, you don't know what's going to happen. But we're now mid-January, and we've got a title race, just 6 points between Hearts and Celtic.
Do you know what they've got, Paul?
Rangers. Yeah.
They've got guys that can break down defences. Braga can score goals.
How much did he cost? Not a lot.
You've got Shanklin who can score goals, obviously.
Yep.
Is it Kyriakis? How you say his name?
That's right, well done.
He can buy players. He takes people on.
Yep.
That's what I think Hearts have got the difference at this moment in time. The thing that impressed me about Celtic at the weekend was Tunect. He was the Tunect that came in for the first game.
Yeah.
He was direct and would take people on, and he lifted it, and Yang done the exact same on the opposite side. So they need to make Celtic need to keep that for him. But if Hearts keep their players playing at that level, You know, they'll be rating it right to the death. There is absolutely no doubt of that. And Derek will be comfortable even in games where they're not playing particularly well. They've got a couple of match winners in them, and that's what you need at that level.
I think what you can't argue with is Hearts' ability in the transfer market. I think they've done great in the summer, and I think already in January they've signed a player to come in, and
They have in the summer.
Yeah, and they've signed a player.
Yeah, Rogers Matto.
Yes,
I know that. I've got the record here in front of me.
Jamie watched under Tony Bloom, didn't you?
Of course.
You worked under Tony Bloom, didn't you?
I did. Yes, at Brighton. He
What was he
signed
like?
me using his
Did he?
statistics thing.
So what was it like? Did he roll out the red carpet for you? Bish bash bosh?
No, he was actually really quiet.
Was he?
He obviously behind the scenes, and that's how he likes to work. You would see him now and again. And he'd always come in when we played Brentford, because I think he fell out with the Brentford
did he?
team.
Yeah, he did.
So
Yeah.
whenever you were playing Brentford, you always seen him. But no, he was a good guy, and he helped me out a lot.
Let's hear from the two managers then, being the Rangers and the Celtic manager. Danny Rule, happy. What a week for him to win a goal down at half-time against Wilfred Nonsi's Celtic. You know the story, 3-1 for Rangers, and then 2-0 wins against Aberdeen. And he said, it was not just the win up there at Pittodrie, he liked a lot of what he saw.
It's a tough place to go. We felt it, and I think the players know this from the past. But when you look a little bit at the moment at our story, what we are doing, we have a lot of positive moments. We start away in Hibs to win a game, what was not easy. Then at the moment we have a goalkeeper who's always there, ready to save in some moments. And we have in front players that worked also very hard. That was my last sentence today to my group. We need today attacking players, they think defence. And if we do this, then we have really a chance to score.
Do you know, I think, Peter, he and Martin O'Neill would get on well. I think it'd be a great football conversation. He's 36, Martin 73. Who cares?
Absolutely, and I think, you see the wee things he was talking about there, and I spoke about that earlier, talking about Jack Butland.
Yep.
They've won 2-0, talking about how good saves he made at important times.
And you worked with Jack at Birmingham.
Absolutely, and I told you he should always been the number one. There's no doubt in my mind of that. He's Rangers' best goalkeeper, and I know he's made mistakes.
Didn't do him any harm though when he was dropped.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I still would have kept him in. I know Barry made a big call on it, and I said that to Barry, I'd have kept him in, because you sometimes, a goalkeeper, how do you get them back in? And he is your best goalkeeper, so you've always got to dig with them. And I've been in that situation before, but when you realise he's your number one. But I think the way he speaks about players, he went near enough through the midfield there, how well he fought, and he had Asgard, he was talking about Asgard, how well he's playing now. So he's dropping it in there and letting everybody know that. The ones that's probably been getting criticism, that's experience that's coming for you. Forget his age. And I've always said that about age, Paul. I watched him, when, as I said, about that German programme when they went to the Qatar World Cup. And he was Hansi Flick's one of his assistants. And he was talking to senior players like Thomas Müller and all that. So he knows he can handle that. And he was taking young players out to train and all that in the World Cup. So he's no dummy. And that's why I said to you, I was a bit concerned. I was happy when he drew out the Rangers one, and then when they came back in, they thought, and I went, I'm not so sure, because I know he's a good coach, and I think that's what they needed at this moment in time. Russell Martin, I don't know, I never worked under Russell. I know him as a guy, and he was a lovely guy. But,
everyone says that.
But as I say, just a slightly different feel, because I don't think Russell had the backing from the start for the supporters, because you could sense that even in pre-season. For whatever reason, I don't know, but all of a sudden, Danny Rose came in. I thought he's handled the press very well. He's going into this window very well. He gets the players in the door before he talks about them. And I think that's important. And he's obviously got Patrick Stewart's went. And
and also the Kevin Thelwell.
Kevin Thelwell went. So I think he's got a bigger say now on what players he wants. And you can see that, the ones he's getting mentioned, Belgium. He's been around about that area all his time coaching. So he knows all these players. And I think that's been very, very important for him. He knows the players that will make his team different.
I think he earned the bigger say. I think the how he's come in and done well, they maybe getting a bit of trust off the board. I think with Celtic, Martin O'Neill already has that trust, so he should have the biggest say of all at Celtic, I think, on the players that are coming in.
Danny's on, a Celtic fan, saying, what's it like working under Scott Brown, a Celtic legend? Seriously, he's watching just now on YouTube. What would you say to him down that camera there? What's he like, Scott Brown? He might be watching.
A really nice, friendly guy. No, I do. I get on really well with him and Stephen Whittaker. Obviously, I'm doing a bit of coaching now, so I spend a lot of time in their office planning sessions or watching opposition highlights, all that kind of thing. So it's been really good for myself, and he's helped me out a lot.
It's cold at the moment, minus temperatures at times. Does he come in with a short sleeve shirt on, no tracksuit top?
No.
Remember he did that up at Pittodrie?
Jacket on, full head of hair. No, he's a bit different.
What a captain he was for your old club.
He done terrific. You know what I mean? As I say, when he came into the club, and then he just he got better as the years went, Paul. I think that was so important. His position changed, his responsibilities changed, and I think Scott changed as in the way he played.
Yeah.
You know,
Mature.
He became that leader.
Yeah.
You know, he became that position, holding that position, and he stayed on the pitch, which was always a question. I think was important that he stayed on the pitch with the big European games. That you can't afford to lose players, and he learnt that. And I think, obviously, he'll take that into his coaching, because they're all about the things you learn as a player.
Sure.
But then how can you put them across to players when you're training them and coaching them? That's the secret. They give you respect to who you are, but then all of a sudden you're on that coaching field. You've got to earn that again.
Some of the best money Celtic ever spent, wasn't it? And it was a record transfer from
That was a
Hibs.
free, Paul.
Well, you were. You were too. Was he a winter or a summer? I don't like asking questions. I don't know. Did he come in the?
Well, good question.
In the winter. We'll talk about it during the break, and then we're back after the news. Going to take your calls. 0808 17 17 700.
Talking Scottish football first.
And the Scottish Cup kicks off again on Friday night and all weekend. Rangers in action then. Celtic playing Auchinleck Talbot, but they've moved it to Rugby Park. And Jamie's Ayr United travelling up to Dundee at Tannadice. Is that a pitch you enjoyed playing at over the years? Did you, Jamie Murphy? Yeah.
It'll be difficult.
Yeah.
It's always difficult to deal with the slope. It's always good to see players that have never played there walk out the tunnel and go, oh, what's happening here?
Didn't even experience that from the press box. It was easy from there, Peter, of course, when we sat there and went on about football. But yeah, they say that. It used to be Easter Road was the biggest slope, wasn't it, in Scottish football? No more.
Yeah, but it was always a fantastic atmosphere. Because I was fortunate enough, I was playing against a really good Dundee United side right through my time there, to be perfectly
Any big names? Come on, let's hear some
Richard
of them.
Goff and all that.
Yeah,
David Neary, Paul Hegarty, Hamish McAlpine, who ended up being a teammate. I mean, if people forget Hamish was at Celtic.
Eamon Bannon, another great player.
You know, all these guys, Ralph Millen, God rest him.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
he went to Man United, didn't he?
You had David Dodds,
Sure.
Paul Sturrock, who was... Paul Sturrock was top drawer as a striker.
Was there a better striker? I mean, he was one of our strikers at the 82 World Cup, wasn't he?
But he was a different type of striker. You know, he was the one that could, that wee shimmy, you know, and lose you. You know, but he was a brilliant player. But they were Derek Stark and all that, all played John Holt.
That's true.
You know, they had a real good side. Billy Kirkwood, all these guys, they were all that part of that squad with a fantastic manager, obviously, in Jim McLean. You know,
and
they got to the semi-final against Roma, wasn't it? Cheated.
Yeah.
And it was proven it was cheated.
It was terrible, wasn't it?
The referee was backhanded and whatever. And it was ridiculous. But you could see that. Walter was... God rest him, was his assistant at the time before Graham taken him to Rangers.
It's phenomenal. I mentioned the first hour about a game and I thought, why did I mention it? It's because of I mentioned some of the Scottish connection there with Kenny Miller and Stephen Gerrard, you know, with the Scottish connection there. But it was the managers. It was King Kenny was the manager at Liverpool, and at Cardiff City,
Malky Mackay.
Malky Mackay. Yeah. What a game that was. I thought, why did I mention that on the Go Radio Football Show?
We get beaten penalties with West Ham as well. Stephen Gerrard scored the 2 late goals, remember, to equalise, and with finished 3-3, we get beaten penalties with him with West Ham United.
Was that one of the biggest heartbreaks of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's been voted as probably the best FA Cup final, believe it or not, because it finished 3-3 after extra time, but he scored a goal, and I remember 94 minutes Paul went up, 4 minutes left and injury time. And Stephen Gerrard strikes it right by Shaka Hislop late in the game. And then it went into penalty kicks. But great memories, but as you say, sometimes penalties can be that biggest heartbreak.
We'll bring you the team news in this hour before we finish at 7 tonight. We're going to take your calls 0808 17 17 700 live on YouTube as well as on the Go Radio Football Show on DAB, and then you can catch up wherever you get your podcast. Last week, you can imagine the number of streams was phenomenal with the news of Wilfred Nonce departing on Monday, and then I think we were the first to say on Monday night, I didn't say it's happened because it hadn't, but I said Martin O'Neill will be in the dugout at the weekend, and we were right. So he's there. Can he lead them to the title? Can Danny Rule lead Rangers to the title? Not the easiest thing to say. Rule lead Rangers to the title.
That's the only thing now, Paul. I can't sing one of my favourite songs is Daddy, Daddy Cool.
Oh, Daddy Cool, Danny Rule.
That was one of my favourite songs. Now it's been wasted.
On you go. Yeah. Lauren and Taylor are listening in the corner saying, what's he talking about there? The TikTok generation. 0808 17 17 700. There are so many Celtic fans saying, come on, give us some news. Paul, there must be a signing. Nothing so far.
But maybe the most important signing, Paul, is already in the building. And Martin
O'Neill.
And Sean and Mark and Stephen and all that. That's maybe going to be the most important signing, because you couldn't have let it go any longer. The disconnect between the team, never mind, and the manager. That's what it looked like when you're looking at the pitch and you've seen the performance. Motherwell, as I said last week, was a big worry for me when I watched that.
But that was then.
And then the second half of Rangers. But that's how the biggest signing is Martin O'Neill in the building.
You have got to be careful with signings. I know people want signings, they want new players, they want something different. But if you just sign anyone, you end up being stuck with these players.
Sure.
And Rangers' last couple of summer windows, I think they've still got players there that they don't really want.
That's true.
They came in
a
and
groaning wage bill. You're right. Marriott Hayes, repent at leisure. Let's go on the lines. Big Rangers fan is on. Hi, Paul. Good evening.
Evening, Paul. Evening, guys.
Evening, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, good to hear you. Paul, change days, isn't it? You're second top of the table.
Well, just look at positive, Paul. Just before I came, my piece on Rangers, I was just going to say, I was listening to a podcast out on another show, but it was about, I don't know if this is true, it was about Peter Grant. Peter, it was a funny story. Did you work under or work with Martin Allen?
I did work under Martin Allen, yes I did.
Where was this?
He told a story about, you were in a hotel about want soup or something like that, and he's were on a strict diet or something like that. You were a senior player or a senior guy, and he said, it's just the way he told the story. It was really, really funny. But I can't get to a point about it, but it was just...
All right, so Peter, where was this? Where
I was at Reading with Martin came in. Martin came in with Alan Pardew.
Okay.
After taking off, after
great.
Tommy.
So what's
Tommy had been sacked.
Of course.
I don't know what
What's
the
the
story is. I've not
punchline?
heard it here.
What did you want
I
to
want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it myself.
Yeah. He probably...
Well, got on about you were moaning about the diet and what you were allowed to get, and the girl in the hotel was saying, "Oh, we can't give you that. We've been told under strict that sort of to get." And you went up to Martin and said, I want my soup. You went, all right, get the soup. You were the only one with the bowl of soup. It was just the way he told it.
All right.
He was known as Mad Dog. He was off his head.
Was he?
Oh,
Yeah.
he was crazy.
I've heard some stories.
Oh,
But have
crazy.
you? Yeah. So Jamie Murphy is with us as well. Paul, what's your point tonight?
Just about, I think, I wonder whether the 49ers have now got a wee glint to saying, do you know what, see if we win this league. I think the way the stats and that are working with the coefficiency, Paul, is that we could actually get direct entry into the Champions League.
Ka-ching.
But things go our way with other things.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we're saying, do you know what, let's spend the money, let's get that guy for Denmark, if we get him, for Wolfsburg. He is a game changer, Paul. He's a Denmark, he's not just a production player type of thing. He's in the, I'm not saying he's Brian Laudrup, right, but he's an experienced Danish player, is what I'm saying. This could be a game changer, and we're going for the left back, which we've got over the line now.
He's in, 3 million, Tuur Rommens.
And Celtic, we have to take advantage of this, because I don't know whether Celtic have went down the route of trying to get players for Wilfred Nancy, and it's the way everything's kind of panned out with that. I think they may be a wee bit behind in the market, which I think Martin O'Neill basically admitted.
He did refer to that. Yeah, sure. And you can understand it, because they planned Wilfred Nancy from, October time when Brendan Rodgers left. And then we began to hear about this Wilfred Nancy we'd never heard of. So the word was going out there, this guy's going to be amazing. I love his style of football. But I didn't say that, but a lot of people were saying it. So you're right. So Celtic were going down one system, 3 at the back, and it's different. Maybe 2 up front. So what about your team then, Paul? You were critical early in the season, quite rightly. What are you feeling now? Do you think you're going to win the league?
That was under Russell Watson.
Yeah, sure.
And
I know.
Under Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. I think, do you know what an Archie signing could be off the park? Jim Gillespie. He could be a game changer.
In what way? In what way?
Well, the work he's done with St Mirren. I mean, from what I'm reading from what's his name, Stephen Robinson, says he's a great connection in the boardroom.
Sure.
Listens to you, and the work he's done with Kibble, with the charity, is another part.
Sure.
So, and plus that Scottish, I know it sounds trivial, right, but the Scottish identity is coming back, and I think that could be a key cornerstone in that fan engagement. And I know he's a Rangers guy, and I know that doesn't make everything right, but it just gives you that. What's working in the boardroom for Rangers, we seem to be getting a bit of connectivity, whereas in other half of the city, there's clear division. And by the way, Paul, I've always been a big thing, even for last year in your show, if you don't get it right in the boardroom, it has a massive impact on the playing squad. I don't know whether Peter and Jamie agree with me on that, but I've seen it with Rangers. If there's a disconnection with previous regimes, it plays in the players' minds. Do you agree with that?
I think you're right, and Jim Gillespie has a great track record, not just at St Mirren but at Kibble, which is a phenomenal charity, does such great work in the area. But Peter, it does, and I know sometimes day to day, it probably doesn't affect players, but it comes from the top in any company, doesn't it?
Listen, Paul, I was involved in it during the takeover, if you remember, so I played through it, and everybody thinks you know everything that's going on. You are just players. You turn up to training and you're in there and you play the games and you train and you go home and everybody's asking you, family, everything, what's going on, are you bringing any players in, blah blah blah, and you hear that all the time, and you don't want that disconnect, and unfortunately that seems to be the way this season, throughout the season, and everything. Even when Brendan was there was a disconnect with everything that was going on, and I understand that. Paul's touched on a point there about Gillespie in. He's got that Rangers background as well, in the respect of that's a club he's sport. He'll not want to let that down. He'll be determined to make that a success when he goes in the build. And it's not trivial. That's important, because you know what it means. Martin O'Neill going in knows what it is to be Celtic manager, and he's always spoke about it. You've got to be first. So that means you've got to be first trying to bring players in, the best players who are available. Can you get them in? It's really, really hard for Martin in this short period of time, because he touched on a manager looking at certain things. And that's Martin's letting you know they were looking at different things.
Yeah, sure.
There is absolutely no doubt of that. Araujo went in at the weekend and played fullback. And to be fair, for an hour he'd done absolutely fine. Never gave the ball away. He was fortunate maybe enough. He got a yellow card.
Yeah, it could have been.
It could have been worse. Yeah. And he was fortunate enough for that. So to be fair, they allowed that match. And that's why I thought he was going to stay. So it tells you that it was all going to be down to nonsense type of player. Now Martin's saying, no, I've stopped that. And that's the power that Martin's got. But I'm not sure anybody else would have done that. Having an interim manager like Martin O'Neill, or interim, if he was successful, I'm sure Martin would love to keep it.
Sure. So would the Celtic fans.
Absolutely. And I think that's important. And that's why I'm saying this could be Celtic's biggest signing. Okay. And Paul touched on it, Gillespie could be their biggest signing, but also the fact that Danny Rowell knows what he wants. He's been on a couple of months prior to this. He's managed to get results building up to this. Now he's got the trust. That's what I feel. He's got the trust for the board to spend some money.
And he mentions Andrew Kavanagh, Fraser Thornton, who's the acting CEO and also a board member, who's staying on as an executive board member. He'll be kind of executive director when Jim Gillespie comes in. Jamie, your old club, they do seem to be getting things right. Jimmy is on a Rangers fan saying he thinks Rangers are better run than Celtic at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue with over the last. We're not saying in the long term, over the last few months, it seems as if it's went that way. But for me, at any football club, I think it's the most important thing that you can have when you bring someone in is knowing that they care. Whether that's because you support the club, whether that's because you've got pride in your work, whether that's. It can be a chief executive, a director of football, all the way down to players. You've got to care about the football club. You've got to care about winning. You've got to care about the job you're doing and how it looks on the outside. And I think that starts at the top at Rangers. I think the chairman, Mr. Kavanagh, I think he cares. You can see him when there's Rangers game on. I think he goes out and watches the game with fans and the bars and all that kind of thing. You can tell that he really wants Rangers to do well. And I think you could tell that in terms of he's brung staff into the football club that he's looked at and they say they're not doing a good enough job for me, and they're out. It's not. They're not hanging around for 2-3 years. Directors of football that's not doing their job properly. Other members of staff are doing whatever.
And that's probably why Patrick Stewart has gone, because I think he was a hard-working, good person, but he didn't lead it in the right directions. And when the shareholding was just being sorted out, Andrew Kavanagh wasn't paying attention to who the manager would be, and that's when the year of the bluffers kicked in the shape of Kevin Thelwell at Rangers and Paul Tisdale at Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a football owner. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Yep. But if you're looking at your football club and you see someone's not doing their job properly, you either get a warning first, and then if it doesn't get better, then you act. And I think that's what he's done.
Paul, what are you thinking? I mean, you've got a break this midweek. Tonight you're watching, obviously, you're supporting St Mirren, I would imagine. Do you think they are going to do it against Hearts and upset the apple cart tonight?
I think the pressure's on Hearts, Paul, but I gave Hearts a lot of credit in your show a couple of weeks ago. I said
I think everyone has.
They're not only putting they're not only putting Rangers and Celtic away, they're doing what Rangers and Celtic should be doing, is putting other teams away. They're all going to Aberdeen and Hearts, Hibs and everything else. But you know what? I would say the comparison between Rangers and Celtic is, and I know it can change so much in the big goldfish bowl, right? But or the small goldfish bowl is there's an energy with Rangers, and it's in our court now. There's a malaise at Celtic. We have to take advantage of that, and with the momentum with Danny Rowell, he's got the fan engagement, Paul. I think we just sit back tonight, and I think, you know what? It's out of their hands. Celtic have got a job to do at Falkirk. I think that could be a tricky game because it's artificial ground. I think Hearts, St Mirren, Stephen Robinson's quite a guy that I know they're not doing as great in the league, but you can't write them off, Paul.
No, we wouldn't. What do you think tonight then? What's your scoreline? St Mirren Hearts? Hearts St Mirren?
I'll go for St Mirren. I'm going to go for a draw with Hearts and St Mirren tonight.
Go for a draw. So, eyebrows raising in Glasgow. And the other one?
Tongue in cheek, I'll go with Falkirk 5-0. Nah, I'm not going. I'll go. You know what?
You can say it, Paul. You can say Celtic will win. Don't worry about that. You're not fooled.
But I said that the biggest threat for Rangers at the time. Paul, you might remember.
Okay, go for it.
I said I was worried when Martin O'Neill came back.
Yes.
To me, he's like the Walter Smith of Rangers at the time. Yeah. He's a statesman of Celtic. He's got the legendary status. And look what happened. It's ironic, right? I said this at the time.
Okay.
Paul Le Guen was French.
Yeah.
He came into Rangers and he didn't get Rangers. He just did not get Rangers.
It happens,
The
yeah,
same,
sure.
ironically, with Wilfred Nancy. And guess who comes in? A previous manager.
That's right, yeah.
That knows the connection with Celtic. So I wouldn't never write Celtic off, right? But I'm going to go for... I hate to say it, but I'll probably go for a 2-1 win Celtic. But my heart, I would like a draw.
Yeah.
But I'll go for 2-1 Celtic.
Peter, there you are.
It done a draw.
Yeah.
That's all right. Forget that. And your coupon's down.
No, he went. Paul, thanks so much for your
Cheers,
call.
Paul.
080817, cheers, Paul. 080817 700. He's listening in the car, hopefully not watching us. But Paul, we're on YouTube now as well, so just type in the Go Radio Football Show, and yeah, I've signed up for YouTube, so we'll see you in.
Subscribed.
Yeah, subscribed as well. Yeah, entered the 21st century.
Don't know what it means,
Oh,
Paul.
Peter, you could be on there. Celtic fans are asking, are there any signings just now? Derek is on. He's a Celtic fan saying Celtic should bring back Dom Mackay. Now, there is somebody who was there, what was that, 2021? And he should come back in the leadership team to join back at Celtic. Don Mackay, who was the SRU, the Scottish Rugby Union Chief Operating Officer, came to Celtic when Peter Lawwell stood down, but wasn't there for very long, and nothing much was said, but he moved on. He's now at the SEC Ovo Hydro, and maybe he could work alongside Michael Nicholson, back in rebuilding connection with the fans. So... Peter,
Yeah, I think that obviously that's going to be massive, getting that connection, because Celtic's most important thing is not any strikers, nothing else apart from players.
Yeah.
And it's not the manager, it's the supporters that stand on the terrace and week in, week out. That'll never ever be lost, Paul. In 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, that'll always be the same. And that's at every football club, no matter what size your support is. And that's so important, you have that connection. Yes, but I could feel they were with the team on Saturday. You know, the team gave them something to be proud of a little bit with their effort and their commitment, which you always expect. But also, they were positive. They were taking people on. They were getting crosses in the box. They were getting bodies in the box. And that's the way you'll have to start against Falkirk tonight. And that's so important. I'm glad that Rangers are thinking maybe they're doing great and Celtic are not doing so great. And Celtic are in a bit of malaise. Celtic have still got very good players. Yeah. Not played at their best, but they've still got very good players. Let's not be carried on that. You know, and that's important. And I'm just hoping they can add to that. That's the most important thing, that they can add to this during this period. And that'll be so important. And then we'll see, that's why I say to you, January is important. But Celtic have still got very good players there.
Quick break, and then we're going to Ross after this.
Football Show with Burger King.
We will have the team news soon for Falkirk against St Mirren, 2 top 6 sides, and also the table toppers Hearts against St Mirren, who are a couple of games still to play. They've had a couple of postponements, but they'll be looking to start to move up the table. Let's go on the lines. Ross is on, a Celtic fan. Good evening, Ross. Hello, Ross. Hi, Ross. You're through. Good evening.
Hi there. How are you guys? All right?
Yeah,
Hi,
good.
Ross.
Good, Ross.
Yep, thank you. So, what are you thinking tonight?
I think tonight will be a tricky game, Paul. Falkirk are not an easy side to play against, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think, just what Peter said, I think on Saturday I was really impressed of the energy that Celtic brought back. Yang looks a different player for me, and his energy and his work rate on Saturday was unbelievable. So I think tonight will be one of the games on the plastic pitch. It will be harder than I would like to think so. I think Celtic will nick it, but for me, I'm just a bit concerned that we're now halfway through January and we're still sitting here without a striker being brought in. But for me, there's a guy playing in Hibs at the minute, Kieran Bowie, and I don't know why Celtic won't just ask the question. I think Hibs were quoting about $6.5 million for him, but for me, I don't know why Celtic just when they pay the money and go and get him, because I think he would be a great player for us.
Couple of things there. Yang, Ross, is his girlfriend back in town? Because you remember early in the season, Brendan Rodgers said his girlfriend's over and he's playing brilliantly. Then he went right off the boil. She'd obviously gone back. She must be back in town. He's a different player.
Listen, the one thing about the boy...
Just moved to Glasgow.
Exactly. The one thing I would say, his attitude's always been excellent.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's been unfair at times with him. He was through into things. I always thought he was a winger. I still say he's a winger that doesn't cross. But on Saturday, he went on the outside a few times but crosses in. I thought he was playing safe as a winger before. He would cut inside and pass it back to Callum McGregor instead of going and be positive. And if you look at the Rangers game, he cuts inside and goes and be direct. And
he was invited to go back the way he didn't.
He'd done it on Saturday, Paul, as well. He was doing that and connecting opposite side. And I think that was... Listen, Celtic have been built on wingers. Jamie will tell you more about wingers than I can. But wingers going and been having that freedom to lose the ball, put crosses in the box, get bodies in the box. And when you've got that brings excitement. It gets you opportunities. Celtic had so many corners early in the game, and they'll have to start quick and fast at Falkirk, because Falkirk supporters will be desperate to beat Celtic. It's always that place that has a lovely atmosphere around about it, and Celtic will know they're in a game. But Celtic have got better players. But that doesn't always win you the game at football. So if you've got the right attitude and you've got the best players playing at their best and being positive, I'm hoping that the two wide players play it with the positivity they did at the weekend and don't become safe. Because I've seen it before, where in one game they've been brilliant at that and then the next game they're playing safe. And that's what I don't want to see tonight.
Jamie, what would you say to Ross?
I think obviously the Celtic Rangers game was the game I've watched most at Celtic, and I thought Yang was excellent. He was Celtic's best player on that day. Unfortunately, it wasn't for them. But you can see he's got ability. He can go outside, he can go inside. There's just that drive to do it all the time, to do it consistently. Because when he plays well, I think he's a big asset for Celtic. Like Peter was talking about your wingers there, I think it's really important for Rangers and Celtic in particular to have wingers that can change the game. See a winger that can take someone on 1v1. Teams sit there against Rangers and Celtic, low block, move side to side. If you've got that one player that can get past his man, it causes chaos. I think it helps you win the game. I think in stuffy games where it's tight and difficult, if your wingers and strikers are playing well, then they're the games that you win.
Ross, what do you think about the suggestion? Evan Ferguson's been mentioned. The Republic of Ireland international scored a couple of goals the other day. Peter, you were watching him. Would you like to see him come? You saw him play, just a couple of months ago in the Champions League? Europa League, sorry.
Aye, all right, Paul.
No, for me,
Ross?
he was playing. He was playing right. I think he scored twice at Parkhead for Roma.
Yep.
And do you know what? I was really, really impressed with him that night. And I've not really watched a lot of Evan Ferguson, but for me, if he was an option to bring in, by all means, I would be 100% up for that. I think he's a sort of striker that would thrive. I don't know if Martin O'Neill knows him in terms of the Ireland setup. I don't know if O'Neill's aware of him in that way, but
I'm sure
he
will
he would.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would be a good player for Celtic, and as I say, he's playing at a good club at Roma. And that night at Celtic Park, he did look really, really good. So if that was an option to bring him in, yeah, I would definitely be up for that.
And he'll know Martin O'Neill, who's a legend.
Yeah, the thing was, Paul, he scored a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And then, as I say, it was only last evening when I was watching it, I realised he wasn't on the bench. I don't hope it was an injury or anything like that, but he wasn't on the bench or he wasn't starting. And I know the manager's been critical of him at times with his attitude. And Gasparini's an old experienced head, and sometimes that's telling you. And I'm not sure, is it the Amos Donny Mallon in the day? I'm not 100% sure. So if it's a striker, it could be a problem.
I've got the team news for you. Schmeichel in goals. Araujo is in again tonight. He played at the weekend. Trusty and Scales and Tierney. McGregor, of course, the captain. Engels and Negrin. Yang and Tonekti with Maeda. And on the bench, of course, is Sinisalo is there. McCowan, Kenny, Bernardo, Hatate, Murray, Forrest, Donovan and Ralston. So, yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, I know. It's exactly as Peter Grant gave it. It's not a leak. You're all right, Martin. It's not a leak.
No, I just thought Negrin would replace Hatate.
Right. Sure. Is Hatate what's happened?
No, it's not the fact of that.
Okay.
I think Negrin is a goal threat.
Yeah, top scorer.
He's a top goal scorer and top assists. And I think he should be playing. And I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. He'll not have fantastic games, but I think he's the guy that has more efforts on goal. He's always a goal threat. And I think that's a good call.
Do you like the look of the team? Jamie, what do you think?
I think with Negrin, I think that position probably suits him a bit, like that attacking midfielder position. Being one of the wide players, I don't think he's not really got pace to go past. I think he suits that position a little bit more. So you're thinking he's going to come in and be that creative spark maybe for Celtic tonight. Yeah,
Ross, Tonekti, did he impress you at the weekend?
Yeah, he did. Aye, I thought he looked good in terms of his performance. But the one guy I think get enough credit or doesn't get enough game time for me is probably Luke McCowan. I don't know what his situation is there with McCowan, because he seemed to be getting a lot of game time under Wilfred when he was here, and then it looks as if he's kind of went back down the pecking order. But as I say, I think in terms of the team selection, O'Neill is back. He's won at the weekend, so who's me to question Martin O'Neill? You know what I mean? So I just think, as I say, that tonight will be a difficult game, but if we can get the 3 points, that's all that really matters. And just what Peter said earlier on, I think Martin O'Neill coming back has been a brilliant signing in terms of this window. So the fact that he's here gives us that stability, and I think tonight will be another game, but I see us getting 3 points, Paul.
Kieran Tierney spoke yesterday. Stay with us, Ross. What's it like having Martin O'Neill back?
It was disappointing.
This was about the period he's speaking when obviously Wilfred Nancy was there.
It was disappointing. It's not good enough. Losing that many games in such a short space of time at Celtic's never acceptable. So now just about making it right and getting winning again. I think I was maybe one of the players who had played it most. I don't mind either formation. I've had success in both. So I enjoy different challenges in different positions, and that's always been the case.
And a bit more, and he's been playing well under Martin O'Neill.
Aye, the first day we came back in and they were here, it was just like normal again, because we'd built up a good routine in the however many weeks they were there before, and we had good results, good momentum, and it just feels like we've picked up for there.
And he was asked, could that result 4-0 at the weekend be a catalyst?
You hope it can kickstart something again, because the last time the manager and the staff came in, it was a good result at the start, and that kicked us on for a bunch of good results even in Europe as well, and we know we've got big European games coming up as well that we need to win.
And the race for the title?
Well, the last couple of years at Arsenal we were in the kind of title races where we weren't first, or we were first for a while and dropped down to second, so it's a challenge that every football player loves, and one at the end of the season where you want to come out on top. Yeah, we've had other teams in as well who've performed brilliant, so I don't think you can overlook anyone, but we just need to focus on us getting back to winning and doing what we know we can. I think you need to. I think if you play at Celtic, you've got a competitive nature, and you want to win, and you know at Celtic you have to win, so that's what's kind of bringing us along and motivating us, because we know we've not been good enough up to now, and that's what we want to change.
Jamie, he's some player, isn't he, Kieran Tierney? He's had difficult times, but that goal that he scored for Scotland just a few months ago will live long in the memory, and you sense that he's enjoying being back at Celtic under Martin O'Neill. Yeah,
you would think so. He's get a lot more game time this year than he had in previous years. You could see he was getting back to fitness a little bit. You see sometimes he gets to 60 minutes and they're trying to take care of him and things, but he's get the more and more game time he gets, the more and more impact he'll have on the game and be better for Celtic.
Martin,
and obviously for Scotland as
sure,
well.
of course, be good for Scotland. Let's hear Martin. You'll speak about players who've been presented to him. Some may be coming, others not.
No, essentially that's true. That is true, yes. And I have discarded some. I think that is true. It is, So, and we are. I know famous last words, but we are making progress, or we think we are. But you're talking about agreements with clubs. You're talking about if that's the case, for a start, number one, and then secondly with players themselves, and then people finding out that, or player finding out that that there's interest elsewhere. So you're competing. All those particular things come into consideration, which is no surprise to me in that sense. So, and I know you're thinking, well, we're halfway through January now, but we are. I think that we're relatively close, but those are famous last words.
Famous last words. So many Celtic fans want to know what's going to happen. Peter, you will know the last time Falkirk beat Celtic at the old Rockville. You know when it was? Did you see it today? 18th of March 2007. And the goalkeeper for Falkirk was?
Wouldn't have been Gordon Marshall.
No, it was Kasper Schmeichel.
Was that?
In goals tonight.
That must have been under Yogi then.
Yeah, must have been.
Because Yogi had been
long time ago.
Yeah. Ross, what's your scoreline then? Celtic win, you said?
2-1 Celtic, I think, Paul. It'll be a tight game, but I see Celtic getting the result tonight. I think Martin's got that bounce back, as what Kieran said. We've got that good feeling back again. So I just think as long as we keep grinding results out and we keep the pace on Hearts, then I think we'll be fine. But we just need to make sure we're getting the 3 points, most importantly.
How's the refereeing going for you?
Well, I was on a game last night, actually. I was up at Petershill last night. It was Partick Thistle against Airdrie, under 19s. So it was going well, Paul. Definitely back into it again. Yeah. So I had a couple of weeks off for Christmas, so my legs were burning up last night, back into the first game. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Any bad decisions?
Oh, listen, there was 2 good offside calls with me. So I was
no VAR. Listen,
night,
you wouldn't see it last night. Did you see the VAR? Was that 5 to 6 minutes? Newcastle, Man City. Do you know about this, Ross? I'm sure you do. Well, I mean, 5 or 6 minutes. Come on, they're killing the game, isn't it?
No, for me last night, I watched it when I came home last night, and I seen the highlights. And then for me, it's re-reffing the game again. If it's a subjective decision in my eyes, I think we just need to go with the on-field decision. Yes. That would be my view. If it's going to be one opinion against another opinion, then that's subjective. That's essentially re-reffing the game. So for me, VAR should be on clear decisions that are clear errors, but subjective ones are just killing the game, Paul.
I'm going to give you the Hearts and St Mirren team. We don't have the Falkirk lineup just yet. Hearts, of course, it's Craig Gordon in goals. In fact, before we give you it, what about that save, Ross? One of the best ever. Who's your choice to be number one? I'm leading you on this one at the World Cup.
Gordon, for me, I think that save at the weekend was unbelievable.
The ball was in.
I think the fact that he actually managed to get to it as well was just impressive. But again, I don't know if Peter agrees here, but I actually gutted that he's not at Celtic anymore. I really enjoyed him when he was at Celtic, and I thought he was a great goalkeeper for us. But obviously things move on, and I think he's still a great keeper. And for me, Paul, he would be my number one at the World Cup.
Jamie,
that's an interesting question. Would he play ahead of Kasper Schmeichel at the form that he showed?
What would you say, Jamie?
I think arguably, yeah.
Yes.
I think he's obviously left Celtic now. It's not going to be the same, but he still performs at a high level. I mean, I know he's not playing at Hearts, I get that, but Schmeichel hasn't covered himself in glory in the last month or so with Celtic. Now, that obviously there's been a different manager in place, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but Craig Gordon still pulling out saves like that. It's incredible for everybody.
Only 43 as well.
Well, we said the last game, Paul, when he was called up to the squad, didn't he, for the last one, and you said, do you think he'll start? I said absolutely 100%. And I think it's the same. Angus Gunn done fantastically well when he was in. I thought he was excellent because he was questioned and then come back in and done really well. But when he was out injured and Craig got called into the squad, I said, you bring him in to start because he's your best goalkeeper. There is absolutely no doubt of that. And his save at the weekend was unbelievable.
Wasn't it?
I mean, I was out my seat because I thought it was a goal for Dundee. Unbelievable save. An unbelievable save. So great credit to him.
Here's the Hearts team. Gordon, of course, in because the keeper is suspended. Would Gordon play anyway? Halkett, Beningame, Shankland, the top scorer, Braga, Devlin, Steinwender, Spittle, Milne, Finlay and Kisaridis. And here's the St Mirren team. George, of course, in goals. Fraser, the captain. King, Freckleton, McMenamin, Phillips, Smith, Gogic, John, Idowu and Mandron. So, Jamie, what do you reckon in this one tonight?
I'm going to go for a draw. I think
Score draw?
Draw. I had in my head 2-2.
2-2
I'm
tonight.
going to go for. It's interesting to see there that Smith's playing for St Mirren. He's just been called back by St Mirren, obviously from Partick Thistle. He done really well at Partick Thistle the first 6 months of the season. He was a really good player.
That's why you're on, Jamie. Great team knowledge. Well done. Ross, who do you fancy in this one? As a Celtic fan, you'll be desperate for that. Yep. What do you think?
I think it'll be 4-0 Hearts.
Really? 4-0 Hearts. Okay. Stay out of Paisley for a while. Okay. Peter?
No, I was going to go 2-0 Hearts. Yeah, I think Hearts will win the game because I just think they've got that consistency in their squad and they know what they're doing, Paul.
And for Celtic, Ross, Martin O'Neill back. I was going to say there's a change in the atmosphere. Well, there has been. There's been a bounce. You saw the game. I mean, did you think you would have won 4-0 against a Wilfred Nonce team for Celtic? Probably not. He's gone now. It's not his fault. He was given an opportunity. Stephen Welsh, he's not in the squad tonight. We're going to hear Martin speak about the squad, and he also chats about some of the injuries.
Well, number one, he's our player. Okay, for a start. So selfishly, that means something. He's having a really great time at Motherwell, and I understand from a playing viewpoint that having got himself up and running and doing great at the club, that he probably didn't really want that disturbed as much as anything else. But he's back with us now at this minute, and but he has. I think that there was a cut-off point where we could take him back and then send him back to Motherwell if that was the case. That might happen at this minute. I did speak to him yesterday, and I must admit I hadn't realised the number of games he'd played for this club and played Champions League matches as well too. So, and it's something that if we've got 3 centre backs at this moment. Anything happened to any of them, we could find ourselves in a bit of trouble.
Welsh not on the bench tonight. And the news yesterday was about Jota, Peter, which was a hammer blow to Celtic fans. He probably won't see them for the rest of this season. And that's not what they thought when he came back. They were looking forward to it.
Paul, with the injury, I'm not surprised.
Right.
Both boys, unfortunately, have had them a few times.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible injury. Yeah. And anybody I've seen coming back quicker than the time it's allocated always end up re-injured. Always do. And I think you're better on the safety of that and getting the real Jota coming back after a pre-season of football training. Yeah.
CCV, it's gone quiet. He's out for quite some time. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Alistair Johnson. It could be March.
Well, they said at the time when they done the hamstring, it was going to be 5 months, Paul, and it did look a bad one when he's chasing back. And that's the only time you can question it. See all the wee things it's done for the drills, you don't get into that extending. But when it's in a match day, when the ball's over your head and you're chasing towards your own goal, it's a completely different sprint you're in. You know, when you're in a competitive match. And unfortunately for Alistair, he seemed to have torn the hamstring, and 5 months is a hell of a long time, but especially when he would have been out for a period of time prior to that as well with the hamstring, so it's not ideal.
Ross, scoreline, what did you say? Celtic?
For Celtic, 2-1 Celtic, Paul, I think it'll be tight, but I can see us just nicking a result. So, I think Martin will boys fired up tonight, and hopefully, as I say, we'll just kick on from the Wilfred Nancy situation. Wasn't great, but listen, he was here and it's not worked out, so we just need to move on from it. But I think Martin O'Neill's guy to take us forward. How long that'll be, I don't know. But for me, right now, I'm glad that he's here until the end of the season because it gives us that stability. And if Martin comes back and wins a double, I think they'll be building that statue outside Celtic Park for him.
They sure will be. Earlier on, Michael was saying there should be one to Fergus McCann, there certainly should be one to Martin O'Neill. I think it's interesting, when he came in 2000, he said, look, Rangers are the benchmark. And he's kind of saying, not that, but he's doing the same tactic just now, saying Celtic on third position. It's Hearts, it's Rangers, and then it's Celtic. It's clever. Ross, thanks for your call. We're
Cheers,
back
Ross.
with more
Hey, guys.
next. Thank you.
Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, we are indeed. This time tomorrow night, Charlie Mulgrew will be here alongside Mark Guidi tomorrow night from 5. 0808 17 17 700. Just a couple of changes from the Falkirk team. What a win that was for them, Jamie, at the weekend. 2-0 against St Mirren.
Yeah, big points for them.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got a good friend, Stephen McGinn, in there, doing a good job, helping them out. And pushing for the top six.
Yeah, just one change from Saturday. Wilson is in for Cartwright. For Celtic fans just tuning in, well, it's Schmeichel is in goals. And I heard some people saying, do you know what? I think he'll enjoy life again under Martin O'Neill, because there's an argument to say Sinisalo should have been given his chance. I know he wasn't brilliant against Livingston the other week, Sinisalo, but he's highly rated. Look, Schmeichel, what a career, Jamie, but at some point it has to come to an end. But do you think there could be a bounce back for him under Martin O'Neill?
I think if he's got that manager behind him that instills confidence in him, I think that's important for a goalie. But along these same lines, I think Celtic will be looking for a new goalkeeper at some point, like you said. Whether it's now, whether it's the summer, I would imagine at least one's going to come in the next 6 months.
I see his dad, Peter Schmeichel, was at training at Lennoxtown yesterday, Peter.
Yeah, listen, I think Casper, since his injury, he's not been as comfortable. There's no doubt in my mind of that. And that's why I was interested to see what the goalkeeping situation was going to be tonight, because it's a different type of turf they're on tonight. But definitely for me, that's been a hindrance for him, and I don't care what anyone says, because you know when you've been a player, don't you, that there's certain things you hold a little bit, and I could imagine as a goalkeeper, if it's your shoulder, it must be a problem.
Billy's on, a Rangers fan, said, look, so far so good, not getting carried away, but second top of the table. And Rangers, if they continue on this run, that's 5 wins on the bounce. He thinks, he doesn't want to jinx it, Jamie, but he is so impressed by the manager. Tuur Rommens, he's asking what you think of him, who's just signed today for, what was it, $2.5 million plus a top-up?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I think you can't say the Rangers board aren't going for it and spending money. That's almost £7 million on 2 new players so far, so they'll be hoping he comes in and does well. But I heard he's injured. I think he's injured for the first couple of weeks, so we won't be seeing him soon. So, and what about Andreas Skov Olsen, the Danish winger? He's got a number of caps as well, and he signed for Wolfsburg just a year ago for £12 million. Yeah, with that you've got to be looking at why is he moving on at the minute if he went for £12 million last summer. And do Rangers fans really care if he comes in and does well? I think that's important. If you come in and you perform for Rangers, the price tags and form beforehand won't really matter.
Peter, what do you feel?
I think he's a really good signing if he plays to the capabilities he's capable of. That's the biggest thing, Paul, because he's got pace, he's direct, he carries the ball very well. I was saying, is it Jesper Gronke? I used to call him Gronke. If you remember him, he's a similar to him. He runs with the ball very quick, and that was the way I imagined him when he played with Bruges, when I seen him, and then he get the big move for a lot of money. I think the biggest thing was, when I spoke to people who knew him, he wasn't a great lover of football, believe it or not.
Really? What's that?
It's unbelievable to say. He was one of these players, no way some players are wrapped in it and some players don't like it. You know, some people wouldn't watch out the back, you know, but that's their profession. And he was one of these kids. And I think sometimes that maybe not go down well with certain people, because they want you to be steeped in it. And that doesn't make you a bad player or anything, but I think that's why you end up seeing these guys moving on quickly.
Cologne are in talks apparently with Sunderland's 24-year-old midfielder Dan Neil. We spoke about him on Friday night. They could be coming on loan to Rangers, or maybe a signing, but Cologne are interested. They want to take him to the Bundesliga, and clubs in England are monitoring as well. I think he's one of 2 players who was great for them last season, Jamie, in the Championship, and you two know what it's like playing there and managing there, but hasn't played much this season in the Premier League.
No, and you see that quite a lot. I think as soon as you get to the Premier League, teams start looking big. They look at big signings, big players. They've got a lot of money, and players that have maybe got them there kind of fall by the wayside. Not talking about my own experience here.
No, you flourished.
No, I was in a similar boat. We played well in the Championship. We got promoted. And then, you know, you're signing players for 13, 14 million who are always going to play ahead.
Who was that with at that point?
That was Brighton.
Yep, Brighton. So. You enjoyed your time there though, didn't you?
I loved it.
Yep.
As well as it was a really nice place to live.
Yeah.
Bringing up your children and things like that. I did really enjoy my time there.
But if you look at the player's age, centre back, 24, that's the difficulty when you get into the Premier League, Paul. That is because unless you've got a real experienced one alongside you, organising, because the game's so quick, and who's predominantly the best players you're playing against? The Haalands and that of this world, the best strikers in the world. All of a sudden, it's not because this kid's a bad player. He's not playing with Sunderland. If you look at the size of the Sunderland team now, the back line is incredible. Ballard's went in, he's a beast. He's really 6'4", but he's done really well. But he's managed to keep his place, but they've got another experienced player next to him, but they're all big and physical. So it's not down to the fact that this kid can't play. But the best thing for him would be to go out and play.
Che Adams scored a couple of goals at the weekend. Great news for us, because we're on the countdown, not just for the transfer window, but for the World Cup finals, which, in fact, today's the 14th, so we are just 5 months away yesterday from the opening game, Haiti, in the great city of Boston. So it's great news. Scott McTominay, wow, again at the weekend, scoring in both halves.
Oh, it was what a game. I watched the game, and Scott was outstanding. He plays with that freedom. He just knows where the ball's going to be in that box. And if I'm right, and I come back when Big Alec taking him up to the Scotland scenario, He'd spoke about being a striker as a kid, and that's where he predominantly played, and moved back to midfield when he was at Manchester United, because I think he missed 2 years of his career.
Did he?
At a youth level.
Wow.
And it was an important 2 years, and I think that's when he was a striker, and then he moved into midfield. But you can see that. See, when the movement in the box for his second goal at the weekend was excellent, because when Noah Lang's got to the byline, everybody else stops and Scott continues on and finishes it in, and it was really outstanding for him. But he's been a superstar over there and deserves everything, because he had a wonderful, wonderful attitude.
Let's hope. Pulling the blue, dark blue of Scotland was one of your proudest moments, Jamie, alongside pulling on the light blue of Rangers. The World Cup, Scott McTominay gives us reasons to be cheerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's many a player give Scotland fans reason to be cheerful. Scott McTominay is one of them. You've got others playing, Gilmore over there, Kenny McLean's goal. You mean it's a good time for Scotland to go to a World Cup in America. Players, I see people have got access to tickets to get over, go watch your country playing a World Cup. There can be many better feelings as a supporter as well.
Are you going? Hopefully going? I don't think you're in the squad, but you are playing well for United.
Still plenty of time.
Absolutely,
No,
hopefully.
I'll be in Florida with my family over the summer, so I might actually get to go to the warm-up game that they're having in Florida. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, wow. You could also head to Miami for the final game, isn't it?
I thought you were going to invite us. If we go radio.
If I could, Come on. Then we would. Listen, Gary's watching on YouTube. Welsh Gary. And he's got brides. Gary, glad you're tuned in. And I hear the TV screen. It's a 75-inch TV screen. Peter, that sounds bigger than...
Wow. I was going to say...
Even
never
Ferguson
seen that.
Towers. I know.
That's a wall in my house.
Need to get some hair.
Does that know what size that is?
Yeah, it is here. Let's hear Martin and Neil speaking about tonight's opposition. It's Falkirk.
Just a really tough game, really tough match. And I thought that even when we won, which was my opening game of the last period, I was in charge, I thought they were very strong. We got a couple of goals at important moments, and obviously that would deflate them a little bit. But he's, I think, the utmost regard for the manager and the job that he's done there, and they're flying.
So you've heard the teams. Jamie, what do you reckon tonight, Falkirk Celtic?
I think it's hard to look past Celtic tonight. Like we said earlier, Martin O'Neill brings this confidence to supporters, to players. So I think Celtic will win 3-1.
3-1, you reckon?
I've just seen Peter write down the same score.
You have. Peter, your scoreline, 1-3.
I'm going for 1-3. I think my reason I'm giving Falkirk a goal, because I still think Celtic look vulnerable at set plays. I know it's a big thing for Martin as well, but I still think they look vulnerable. Glad that Liam Scales is back playing. I thought he was excellent at the weekend, but he's such a difference when you're defending things and also attacking, because he's excellent in both boxes. And
you were both going for... No, Jamie, you're going for a draw, you reckon, for St Mirren at Hearts. And Peter, did you say Hearts to win?
Hearts to
win. So
win.
it would be no change right at the top, but Celtic would join. I think they just leapfrog Rangers if they win tonight.
And it's important, the goals, Paul. The goals are important. The goals are important. Listen,
could be.
Won the league in goal difference against Hearts the last time, so how important goals are. The ones you don't concede, and obviously the ones you scored, and that's what Rangers are doing really well as well. They're not conceding.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jamie. Great to see and hear you both. Back tomorrow night. We're live at 5. See you then.